All right, so you're watching this video either because you need to change your filter on your CFMOTO 675 SS, or you got the DNA air filter and you want to know how to put it in, you've never done it before. Either way, this is how you do it. I'm gonna yap here for a little bit, so if you want to skip ahead, feel free to go. So this filter took about over a month to come in.
This was a game. 911. Officer, right there. Come on, this fella.
And it sucked because I was like, I just want to get this air filter in. I want to get this air filter in, and we're getting closer to the end of the season here in the Midwest. I was picking the bike apart, figuring out how to get underneath because the air filter is right up in here. Right here, right underneath this tank. Right here, it makes sense because this is the engine, and then you can tell like this is where the cylinders are, and then obviously the air filter would be right here. Yeah, we have this part right here, the frame of the bike right here that's actually blocking it, so you can't get in through the side. Now on the 450, if you just pop the seat, you kind of access it through the tank. It kind of like went underneath, and it was nice. This is a little bit bigger. So again, I took it apart. I just took apart one part yesterday, just to kind of figure out how things were going, so I wasn't going to this blind. Because if you're watching this and it's your first time, this is also my first time changing an air filter on a motorcycle. So we're gonna find out. It'd be a lot of Google guru, and for the most part, I think I know how to do it. I think we have to take off both the fairings, which is gonna suck. We take off both the fairings here. We gotta pop the seat. We have to release like a handle where the gas tank is, and then we gotta pop these fairings off. We gotta pop this fairing right here. These guys, obviously, to get this fairing off, and then we have to take this little piece off right here. So now, we're gonna do that. I'm gonna walk, this will be a fresh thing for both of us. This is gonna be a learning thing, a learning experience. So if at any point in the video, you're like, dude, you could've just done this, tell me I could've just done that. That'd be nice. Let's get straight to it. So the initial tools, I can tell you right off the bat, you'll need a ratchet like this, a little bit of an extender. You can use a smaller extender, doesn't matter. And then a 10 mil, this is a 10 mil on the end. This is a 5mm Allen wrench, and this is also pretty much a 5mm Allen wrench, just smaller, and a small screwdriver. This is gonna be for the most pain in the butt part of this entire thing, but we'll get to that. All right, so now you got these tools. I also wanna mention you will need a Phillips head. Got the DNA air filter.
Finally!
Removing the seat, like any good motorcycle thing starts with, it's always with the seat. All right, here's the seat. I will also mention, before you do anything else too, so you have the seat off, there's the actual, like a guard right here that kind of blocks from the exhaust and everything. It kind of like sits almost flush with the radiator. You're gonna wanna remove that. It's gonna be 4 bolts, one right here, and then one right there. And on the opposing side as well. So yeah, we will need that off, and that's one of the points, one of the anchor points that are kind of sitting between the two. You can tell I completely obliterated this thing. One of these guys, this little plastic, one of the worst inventions known to man. I hate these things so much. This right here, this is what the mini screwdriver is gonna be for. You're gonna kind of hop down here. Gonna be this little hole right here. The screw is gonna be sitting in there like this up top. What you do is get the screwdriver and find a little insert. Hard to tell, but there's a little insert, you can kind of push that pin up. You wanna do slight pressure, you don't wanna do too much pressure, but slight pressure, and pop the pin up, and it should fall right out like that. It'll pop on the ground, and it should loosen up these fairings right here. So you got this fairing, and this one's kind of loose. This one's gonna have to take a little bit more work to get that out, but it's gonna release basically the middle point between the two. So you're gonna have this off right here, and the seat. Now you can start taking things off. I recommend doing the handle part first for the actual gas tank here. There's gonna be, all right, so you're gonna remove these two little, there's gonna be a 5mm, these two right here, and then you're gonna use your 10mm, and you're gonna get these out as well. These are a little longer. Get those out. And you'll have this piece like this. It'll sit like an arch, like that. It won't fit like this, it'll fit like that. Basically, these bolts were in here like this. I keep saying screws, they're not screws, they're bolts. Or like this. So keep these in a good spot. I like to keep the things in here so I know what it's for. I'm gonna start with one fairing, and then I'll do the other faster so we can kind of get this more expedited. But we need to get this fairing off. This is one piece right here. So basically, if you're doing a fairing removal too, this is a good thing to know as well. This is a whole fairing right here. It kind of comes down, it goes around. This is all one piece, you'll see. It's gonna take the 5mm, and it's also gonna take the Phillips. Phillips will be that little screw right there. I'll pin that on the screen so you can see it. Same on the other side as well. We're gonna hit those two, and then we're gonna grab the 5mm, and I'll show you guys where the actual bolts are for the fairing, so we can release the fairing. All right, cool, we got the 2 Phillips here. All right, so now we're gonna hit the 5. So, I don't remember where they all exactly are, but you'll feel them as they start to come loose. So this one, if you can tell, loose, it's loosened up. We took this bolt out, and we took the Phillips screw out. Yeah, so there's gonna be a bolt right in there, just like that. That's one bolt. And there's gonna be this bolt right here. That's gonna help you take off that front piece. There's gonna be a bolt right there. That's a bolt. We're gonna take that one out. And then obviously you have those 2 right up there. And then if you go down, bolt right here, you take that off. There's gonna be a bolt down here, a little bit lower, like this, that bolt right there. And then it's gonna be another bolt right there. Right up there. So we're gonna hit those. Oh, and if you see feathers in there, it's because I hit a bird. If you haven't seen that video, go check it out. But I hit a bird. I'm gonna hit those now. So turn the handlebars as you need. I am on a stand, just so you know, just because I like to keep myself on a stand. I like being set in a spot, especially when I'm messing with fairings and wiggling the bike around a lot. Might actually kick the kickstand or something. I don't want to do that, so I have it on a stand. You don't have to, but I am. And these are all the ones that are shown first. So these are the ones that are visible right now, because there will be 2 up here. I want you guys to keep this in mind. There's gonna be 2 here. Right underneath this piece. We're gonna pop this piece off. It's a separate piece. Once that's popped off, it'll expose 2 pieces. That way we can remove this entire thing, but we're gonna do that at the end. All right, so now I got those bolts that we talked about removed. So this is kind of loose. You can see, like, okay, this is kind of loose. If you want to, you could even pop this one out. It'll pop back. But we're gonna pop this guy out first, this piece, and then we're gonna get these 2 bolts. This, kind of pull, just gotta pull on it, really. You can start with down here, pardon the bug mess here, and it will pop out like that. So if you take the piece that you were loosening up right here, just pull, it'll loosen that out. And you'll see this pop out like this. And if you've never removed a fairing before with this bike, I've done it with this bike before, and it was a little nerve-wracking because it's like pieces that are bending and you don't want to snap anything, but you'll be fine. Don't pull anything. If there's any resistance anywhere, you feel like a point, kind of move it up, like push it up, move it down, see if there's any like, is it like a fold piece or is it like a bolt piece? So just be easy with it. Don't like yank this. I see a lot of people yank them, yank them, yank them, yank, 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 yank them, yank, yank, yank them, yank, yank, yank them, yank. Previously with this fairing, it was yanked, and there's like a snap piece in there because it was yanked. I did not yank it, but the piece in there is a little snaps because I was not the one taking it out. And there it is. So you can kind of see how it's kind of coming up here. I was kind of pulling back here a little bit, and it's gonna pop out. Don't pull hard, but just kind of work it. Everything looks good. Nothing snapped down here. Everything looks good. Just pop right out. I will have a video sometime this winter, because it's the Midwest, we have winters, where I'm gonna be wrapping all the silver pieces, and I'll be doing this again. So this is kind of be a similar process to what we're doing. So then these are the 2 bolts I'm talking about. So if you look, there's 2 bolts. One right here, one right here. If you don't take this piece off, then this will not come off. And no matter how hard you pull it, you're gonna snap it, and that's exactly what I was talking about. I won't name them, but previous person who did it, not me, this piece snapped, and you can kind of see where it's a little cracked right here. Still works, still sits where it needs to, but you can see it's a little snapped. So we're gonna move these 2 little bolts here. Disappearing on you. It's still latched in certain parts, so now we're gonna need to pull it. And I honestly find the larger fairing a little bit easier than the small piece right here, because you can kind of like work it. See, it just kind of pops out. It'd be nice and easy with it. It should pop right out. And there we are. This is the fairing. This is the entire fairing. This is what I was talking about. And the cool part is we can actually see the box where the air filter sits in. So the next step is going to be to remove this piece, this little black piece here. So we're going to move this bolt right here, and then we're going to move that bolt right there, and then we're going to move that bolt down there. All right, so another thing too, I did mess this part up, so you guys will know. There's 2 bolts right here, so I got these out, all those 3. We're going to take these 2 out. These are Phillips. So grab a Phillips screwdriver and then pull these out. We're going to hit that one too. So it's going to be a total of this bolt here, this bolt there. There's a bolt right there, down there. Bolt right there. There's going to be 2 Phillips right there. And there's going to be that bolt right there. Sides, okay. And there we go. This piece is off. So now that we got this side off, so remember we did this little piece right up here, we did the entire fairing, and then we did that little piece right up here in order to get that entire fairing all the way up to this seat. And then these little hooks here. So it's kind of like a, you travel along the bike, you try to travel along the tank and figure out where it's gonna go. All right, so the only thing different, by the way, guys, that you're gonna have to do is gonna be the actual bolts down here on this metal pan, and there's gonna be more on the bottom. So there's like one right here, and if you move up here, there's another one in there. This looks like almost the same exact as the 5mm. We're gonna use this to get this bottom bolt that's way down here, right underneath. It's like little it's like a recessed area, and then there's a bolt in there. You can see my finger just kind of come right off. Boom. And if CFMOTO didn't want me taking this thing apart, why did they give me a kit that fit perfectly in the bolts? Down here, it's not the exact same on this side. I should correct myself. It's not the exact same, but it's pretty similar. So once you take that actual plastic cover piece that I was talking about earlier, it'll expose a screw there. Ooh, fairing's moving around a little bit. Right here, and then there's gonna be another one right in there. Come on. There's that. Okay, perfect. Come on. I know I didn't leave this piece. There we go. And there it is. You see, this thing's wiggling around now. Slowly but surely. So now we're gonna do the same thing on this side. Remember, these guys here. There's gonna be 2 Phillips here, there's gonna be another one here. We're gonna take these all out. It's kind of cool to see your motorcycle kind of apart when it's not from a crash or something. It's from like just doing cool things to it. All right, cool. 2 Phillips. Come on, there it is. The fairing's off. We have the 2 little clips up in here, off. Everything. So this should, hypothetically, straighten the steering here. This should just come off.
You're wrong. Not this time.
Nope, not quite. Something down below. Ah, I see it. I don't know how we're gonna get to that. It looks like it's those bolts right there, but how do you get to those bolts without... Oh yeah. Yeah. All right, so if you go back here, there's gonna be a bolt right there. So if you're looking up from here, this is where your steering damper should be, and then that's the actual handlebar down here. Right, you get here. There's gonna be that little hole right there. Then what I was ended up doing was I would pull the actual tank. This thing, I would push it up, because you can see this has some wiggle room, especially now more now. This, right in here. No attachment, no extension. Your 10mm, and you should be able to slowly and kind of half turn that bolt out. And that bolt's gonna look like this. That's what that bolt looks like, don't lose it. All right, guys, we're gonna fast forward here a little bit. So I got that other bolt off I was talking about, and then I took this guy off. So this was kind of a pain in the butt. I kind of had to wiggle this around because this thing is pretty much stuck in there. This thing is pretty much stuck in here. There's actual like a wire that's connected all the way up here to where like the fuel tank is, and then there's another hose here. I ended up taking this one off. It's a clamp device off of this one right there. Took that off, and we have access to the filter now. But it took some wiggling around because there's a lot of screws that go into the actual case. And this is the actual case for the air filter. This is the front of it. This is what it looks like. There's a screw, you could see right here, there's literally screw here, screw here, screw here, screw there, a bunch of screws all the way around it. We're gonna take all those off. Take all those off, and the case kind of slides out, and in order to get the case out, I had to take this actual hose off right here. Just be careful. But yeah, I basically use a larger Phillips right here, and then I end up grabbing a flathead for some of the harder ones, like a smaller one, or if you have a smaller Phillips, to access that, because it's gonna be kind of a workaround underneath the tank here. All right, so there's gonna be a screw right there that we took out, that center screw. There's gonna be another screw down here, and then on the other side, on the exact opposite side, we're gonna take those out, and this air filter should come out. There we are. All right, so this is the filter. This is it. This is the stock air filter. Looking as stock as can be. So you'll see the two sides. So one side is flush. So this side is flush. There's a little bit of a ribbed end here. It's gonna kind of like seal it together. And then we have the top end here. So it's a little bit raised. So there's an actual piece of the filter that's up from the actual base of the filter. So we're gonna put it in like this. So it's gonna go down like this. And this fits like a freaking charm. Yeah, this thing fits like a charm, guys. Yes, it does. So now we're gonna reinstall it. So now we have the filter back in there and we're ready to go. So you wanna make sure that these are tight in there. Don't strip them. If you do, you're gonna have to get more screws. Screws are in that screw right there in the center. There's a screw down here on the side, and then there's a screw on the other side opposing that one. And these are down all the way, holding. All right, so we got all the screws in. I'm not gonna show you guys, but there's the screw parts that I was showing you earlier. All these guys are back in. I made sure I tightened them up and everything. There is a tricky one on this back left corner here. You're gonna wanna use a magnet, like a magnetized tip of a screwdriver and feed it slowly. Do not drop it, obviously. I reconnected this hose. It's really easy. You just basically push it back on. There's a clamp around it and it keeps it sealed to it. So another thing I want to mention too is while I was moving it, right in here, there's this little gap. You can kind of see it now. It's like a little space between the actual tank here and then the bottom over here, closer to the battery. And that is this. It's like a rubber stopper almost. This is basically where the tank will sit on it. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna line the tank up, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about, the stopper. The best way to line the tank back up is to match these two that we took out earlier that were underneath. The hidden one, we had to kind of finagle it in there. We're gonna line those back up again, and then we're gonna get those back in here because the bottom of this here should still lift up, but these are gonna secure it and put it in its spot that it needs to be in.
Oh, shit! God damn it! Same shit! Same shit!
So this was probably one of the most painful experiences of my life, was getting a bolt back there. That is probably the single-handedly the most painful bolt I've ever had to deal with. But you just use open-ended 10, and then you kind of just take half turns as you go. Now we're gonna work on getting the little black corner pieces that were right here back on. I'm gonna do it in the way I took them off. So we'll get the black corner pieces right there, and then I'll get the fairing back on, and then that little piece up here. All right, so this is the black piece that we're putting back on. So it's that little bolt there. There's a bolt down there that you need a small Allen key for. And then these are where the actual fairing is gonna kind of attach to onto these, so leave these guys alone. Then we have these two Phillips that we hit, and then this back bolt right there. All right, we wanna remember, guys, that we want to secure these guys right here before we put on this piece. So make sure those are in first. All right, so this fairing is back on. You can tell by if you pull it a little bit, try pulling different areas. Don't forget, we had a Phillips down here. We had that little Phillips guy right there, and then we had no screw right there. Remember that before you put the seat on. It also helps secure everything, but yeah, got the bolts all back on. We also had this piece right here. Remember this piece snapped back in. All right, so both the fairings are on. Got all the fairings on. This front piece is back on. The actual guard by the front tire, those are on. I have this plastic piece, that other plastic piece, if you remember from the beginning. You basically just make sure that that center piece is pulled out, and then when you push it in, you push the outer end in first, and then you push the center in, and it locks the plastic piece in. Secure this on here. I'm gonna get the seat back on here, and I'm not gonna fire it up. It's currently like 2:16 in the morning right now, so I'm not firing the bike up, but I will tomorrow morning and get that on video. But I will turn the battery on, make sure it's not throwing any weird code of any sort. Power her on, see what she says. Speak to me. Nothing, no codes. Yeah, if you guys weren't believing me, it really is 2:26 in the morning. I hope you guys can read that. Yeah, that says 2:26 a.m. DNA air filter. So forgive me if I sound a little tired. I am exhausted. So I'm gonna wrap this up, and then I will see you guys in the morning. All right, guys, we're back. 9:53 in the morning, 2 in the morning. I'm gonna fire it up. I'm not gonna ride to work because if I ride back from work, it'll be about 55 degrees. Fire it up and we'll see if everything runs the way it should. That's working. Okay. So everything's running just fine. Engine sounds fine, everything sounds good. I'll have to take this out on the weekend. Again, it's getting to that point of the week, guys, where it's getting a little bit colder at the end of the day. When I'm leaving work around like 7, I leave like later in the evening, so it gets really cold, especially on a bike. Won't be able to ride as much during the week, but we'll definitely get plenty of riding in on the weekend when it's at least 65 during the day. It's kind of a pain in the butt because you got to take the whole tank off. You have to like finagle it around. You can disconnect a hose or two. You just got to be careful if you're disconnecting any of the hoses there. But everything else is easy. The fairing's easy. The seat's easy, everything else is easy. Just keep track of all your bolts. And then obviously the tank. I think the toughest part out of any of this isn't even taking the actual plastic cover off of the air filter, like the cover for it, where the air filter sits inside. The toughest part is the 2 bolts that are like directly underneath. You'll see in the video if you watch the video, but there's these 2 bolts right there. Those are a pain in the butt. If you're wondering an easier way to get those 2 bolts instead of using like a socket, like a ratchet, you can get like an open-ended, like a ratchet. Like I know they have like an open-ended ratchet wrench. You can fit in there and you can work it much easier than having to like do like quarter turns throughout the thing. You can just ratchet the actual bolt out and it's open-ended, so it'll pop out a little bit easier. And you don't have to fit a ratchet in between all that and then try to work around it. But yeah, that's it, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hopefully this was helpful for you guys. If you've never seen what it looks like, that's what the 675 looks like, kind of stripped a little bit more. Clear-cut way of seeing what is actually involved in taking the air filter off or replacing the air filter. If there's any easier way that I'm missing that you guys know when you watch this video and you're like, hey, just do it this way, let me know. As far as I can tell, just noob status here, beginner status, whatever, is that's the best way for me to take it. It was around the fairings and then here and then the tank, lifting up the tank a little bit. If you didn't know how to do it and this video helps you a lot or you want to know how to do it for future reference, please, leave a like if you enjoyed the video. If you didn't, it's fine. You can leave a dislike. Drop a comment down below if there's an easier way or if this helped you out. I'd like to be able to help you guys out with this or any air filters that maybe you guys picked up that weren't DNA air filters. Just drop some comments down below, guys. I appreciate all of them, especially if there's an easier way to do it, because that was not a fun way to do it. I was up till 2 in the morning. It was fun. Yeah, if you guys like more helpful content or entertaining content or anything motorcycle related, then feel free to subscribe. And anyone who is currently subscribed, thank you for your support. And as always, guys, I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.